The best value bus tour of central London might not be what you'd expect, but to explain why, I've had to come all the way to Australia. This is high commission. See, there are a number of bus tour operators in London, and whilst I'm sure they all offer great information to tourists, they'll set you back by at least £30 each. But I've got an option for £1.75, and you even get a roof if it rains. When it rains. Admittedly, what you don't get is a tour guide, so I'm going to do my best to be one. Welcome back to Journey of the Month. Today I'm going end to end on bus route 9 from Aldwych to Hammersmith. Along the way, I'll run away from a man in a fancy suit, I'll run away from an old locomotive, and I'll hunt for some abandoned tube stations. And in fact, there's one right around the corner. This is Aldwych Station, which, okay, yes, it does say Strand Station, but that's the name it had when it first opened in 1907. This former stub of the Piccadilly line was mostly served by a one-stop shuttle from Holborn, which is basically like 10 minutes walk away. As you might imagine, the station wasn't terribly well used, and when the lifts needed replacing in the 90s, it was more cost-effective to just close the station altogether. What a downer it would have been if the lifts had actually worked. But you can still go inside Aldwych Station thanks to the London Transport Museum's fantastic Hidden London tours. Right, for the first time this series, let's get on a bus. And whilst I do so, here's my top 10 bus routes, numerically. At number 10, it's the number 11 bus from Waterloo to Fulham Broadway. And no, there is no number 10 bus actually, it's been discontinued since 2018. At number 9, it's the number 9, the subject of this video. Coming in hot at number 8, it's the 8 from Tottenham Court Road to Bow Church. And at 7, a surprise entry. It's the number 7. No, cutting that short, sorry, I've reached my next stop, which is the next stop. Now the 9 is one of London's oldest bus routes, so I thought I'd drop by the London Transport Museum to trace a route back in time. Back in time. Back in time. Okay, I'll stop doing the echo now.
So buses have been running in London since 1829. The very first buses were run by a company called Shillibeer. It was a little horse-drawn vehicle. And of course that means that we have the bicentenary of London's buses coming up in 2029. Early on, they were primarily used by the middle classes. Later on, they were used by everybody. The word omnibus, of course, means for all. Buses really enable people to get around in a way that was affordable and you could get almost anywhere.
Thinking about bus route 9 specifically, has it had any interesting passages in its own history?
So there's been a bus service on what is now Route 9 since about the late 19th century, obviously starting with horse-drawn vehicles. This vehicle, B2737, was originally built in 1914 and it ran on Route 9, then was requisitioned for the First World War. We recreated that part of its history. We painted it in its current khaki livery. Shortly before that, we recreated Route 9, which is the route that it ran on, in August 2014. There have been electric vehicles in London.
I'm sorry,
since
I've got to go. I've got to go. Oh, and I need that too, sorry. Sorry for the French exit, I just wanted to make sure I was back on the bus in time to make use of the hopper fare. If you make multiple bus or tram journeys within an hour of first tapping on, you get the subsequent journeys for free. The next section of our journey takes us down the Strand. This is a street of incredible historical significance as the primary route between the economic centre of the City of London and the political centre of the City of Westminster. There used to be all manner of manors lining this road, palaces for the richest and most powerful courtiers of the kingdom. The only one left is Somerset House, back behind me, now a centre for the visual arts. At the end of the Strand, we reach Charing Cross Station. Now what's interesting about the tube station here is that it used to be 2 separate stations. Deep breath, everyone. The Bakerloo line had a station called Trafalgar Square. The Northern line was called Strand, which is a different Strand to the Strand that became Aldwych and then shut. And at that time, the station nearby we now know as Embankment was called Charing Cross, just to make things clear for you. Then, behind these doors, the Jubilee line came to what is now called Charing Cross, prompting the Bakerloo and Northern stations to combine. And then the Jubilee got bored and went somewhere else entirely. And that's all the short version. Unlike these passageways. Anyway, Trafalgar Square is undoubtedly one of the enduring images of London, with it and Nelson's column commemorating the Royal Navy's victory over France and Spain in the Battle of Trafalgar. I'd give you a footballing analogy, but France and Spain always beat us nowadays. If you're ever driving to London, then wrong mode of transport, but This statue of Charles I is where all the road distances are measured from. And on the north side of the square, the National Gallery recently celebrated 200 years of bringing people and paintings together. And of course this year it's 200 years of passenger railways, bringing people and paintings and picnics and postcards and protests and pencils and parties and pets and packages together. And pickles. And Piccadilly Circus is another major landmark on the route. The famous statue here is commonly known as Eros, the Greek god of, well, let's just say love, but it's actually his brother Anteros. This mix-up makes family dinners on Mount Olympus quite awkward. If you're interested in royals, there's a few palaces near the route, including St James's Palace, Clarence House, where the king actually lives, and the big one where he doesn't, Buckingham Palace. If the Union flag is flying atop the palace, it means the king's not in. He's probably off enjoying one of his local bus routes. Maybe I'm just projecting what I would do if I were king. Just off Piccadilly, if you go up Down Street, you can see the telltale tiles of a Leslie Green Design station building. This is Down Street Piccadilly Line Station, which was only open for about 25 years in the early 20th century. In the Second World War, it was used as a bunker by Churchill in the War Cabinet, and today it's another hidden London tour location. Then at Hyde Park Corner, the station survives, but the original station building is now a hotel, and the remaining station is one of the few on the Underground to have no above-ground building. Going a little off-piste now, but bear with me, I'm on a roll. Keep going towards Kensington, and next to the V&A, you'll see another abandoned tube station. This is Brompton Road, which is also a Piccadilly line station which lasted for less than 30 years. We can see evidence of these former stations on old tube maps, such as here at the Map House in Knightsbridge, a specialist shop for the cartographically inclined. Hello, Charles, I've just knocked it, I'm very sorry.
Our earliest underground maps go back to the 1860s in some cases. The District Railway was very keen, starting in the 1880s, on publishing useful maps for travellers. And then in 1908, you start to get the first composite maps which have all of the lines in different colours, very similar to this design for the first time. And then the next great evolution obviously is Harry Beck in 1933, which we're still using today. What we're looking at here is the first edition. The revolutionary thing about Harry Beck's map is that it took a disorderly underground network and turned it into a beautiful schematic that everyone could see and read really easily. All people needed to know is, what line do I get on, where do I change, where do I get off? Many of today's stations are still recognisable, but there are some which have now disappeared. Aldwych is gone. Brompton Road, near us here in Knightsbridge, is gone as well. Down Street only recently closed when this map had published.
If you're doing a tour of London, you've got to make time for the South Kensington museums. I've mentioned the Victoria and Albert Museum, there's the Natural History Museum, and here at the Science Museum, I'm going to see some transformational transportation. Who, or what, is Puffing Billy?
This is Puffing Billy, the oldest surviving steam locomotive in the world, built in 1813 to 1814 to run at the Wylam Colliery, taking coal from the colliery down to the River Tyne. There were already rails being used in mines quite extensively, but they were pulled by horses. Your sort of go-to person for early steam locomotives is Richard Trevithick. So he built a number of locomotives for rail and road, but very little survives. But Puffing Billy ran until 1862, so was actually very successful, and I think that's why it's survived. There's one really crucial thing that is sort of Puffing Billy's legacy, and that is smooth wheels on smooth rails. That is the system that railways use all around the world today.
Now, I don't like to jump to conclusions, but I reckon the train might have been quite successful. But the connective tissue of our transport network remains the bus. Which reminds me, if you're just travelling by bus or tram, the daily cap is £5.25, which is still only a sixth of what a bus tour ticket would cost you. We're now travelling along the southern edge of Kensington Gardens, between the grandeur of the Royal Albert Hall and the splendour of the Albert Memorial. But Albert's influence didn't stop there. One of his great-great-great-great-grandchildren lives here at Kensington Palace, and he's invited me for a look inside. Okay, well, he didn't invite me.
Kensington is a strange one because it's not the royal household. On this side, it's a museum, but on the other side of the palace, that's the apartments, and that's where we get the Prince and Princess of Wales living.
What role has the palace played in London's and the nation's history?
Whitehall Palace burns to the ground during the era of William and Mary, and William and Mary are the people people that set the modern world. They knocked Mary's dad off of the throne. Because of that, we get constitutional monarchy. They base themselves at Kensington rather than Whitehall. From there, we then get Queen Anne, we get George I, and then we get George II and Queen Caroline. Their fights with their son Frederick leads to George III not wanting this, turning this into an apartment block for royals, which is why his granddaughter is here, just down there at the end of the room when they say, "The king is dead, God save the Queen." Victoria, it starts here.
What should visitors look out for?
Look at the people on the King's Staircase, because you have Peter the Wild Boy. He was found in the woods in Hanover, given to George I. And then you get the cupola room, the fake dome. It's not really a dome, it goes, flattens out. So there's loads of smoke and mirrors and allusions to the palace. So I'd say look out for them.
Thank you very much. Time to get back on the bus. So I've just dashed off the bus on the other side of Kensington because I spotted something coming over this railway bridge and I thought we might want to check it out. So here it is, a red District Line service at Kensington Olympia Station. They only get a few trains here a day during the week, so it's nice to see the only dashed line on the tube get some love. A rare occasion where you need to press a button to open a door on the tube. It's just one of those things that you have to... No, hang on. Well, I didn't mean to ride it, but it only goes as far as High Street, Kensington, which luckily is served by the number 9 bus, and unlike the district from Olympia, it's every 10 minutes. And yes, I have gone in a bit of a loop. And so, with a little detour or 5, it's the end of the line at the end of the 9, here at Hammersmith bus station. It's quite a peculiar place. Not only are there 2 tube stations of the same name here, there's also 2 sections to this bus station. I've come in on the higher level, but if you head through the shopping centre, there's a lower level too. It's actually quite fitting. Just like the bus, the station is double-decker. Now I want a chocolate, but I won't. Well, that's it from this video, but I'll leave you with something quite fantastic. A song about the number 9 by Trevor Duncan from a 1976 film about the route. We'll link it in the description so you can see how I would have made Journey of the Month 50 years ago. But for now, this bus terminates here. Please take all of your belongings with you.
Through the heart of the British metropolis, moving smartly down a thin red line, London transports respectable warrior, the number 9.